Hello everyone, my name is Aditi Naik. I'm from second year E&TC branch. This is my oral examination for the year 2020-21. My topic, there are three topics that I have been given, and the fourth that I have to choose was, I chose exploratory data analysis. I'm going to present my screen now. This is the subject of data analytics. My first question is to load the toyota.csv file. I have to mention the size and I have to drop the nan values. Then I have to take the data and I have to make a scatter plot of the same. So for that, I will need to open Google Colabs. I have already opened it in the window. So it has been loaded completely. First, I will upload the data. The .csv file data. Now the compiler already has the data in itself. Now it just has to read it once we give it the command. This is my code cell. I'm going to start importing libraries. So these are the libraries that I have to import first. Pandas is for using structures from the data. NumPy is numerical Python, and matplotlib is a library which is used to give us the history, which helps us in forming graphs and graphs and diagrams and everything. So now I'm going to run this code cell. Now I want to make a new code cell. Where I will give the command to read my data. This is my folder name. And now I'm going to give the command for it to read the top five rows of the data. Okay, there's a syntax error. No, yeah, I had forgotten this. So let's see if this will work. Yes. So it has read the top five rows of my data from the Excel sheet of toyota.csv. Now, I will give it the command to give us the shape of the data frame. So the shape is what gives us as in the form of a matrix, 1, 4, 3, 6 being the number of rows and 10 being the number of columns. So it has come as rows versus columns. That is the case of matrix. Now I'm going to give it another code. Now this is what I had to do over here, mentioning the size and dropping the nan values. So in the first case, we have mentioned the size, that the shape gave us the size of the entire data. And this gave us the drop nan values of the data. Now I want to make a new code cell, and I have to plot a scatter graph. So I will use this library, this, to plot the required graph. plt.scatter will be my syntax. Okay, this, and this will be my x, and now I'm going to assign my y. I will assign it age. So here I have assigned the graph parameters. This is my x-axis and this is my y-axis. Now I want to assign it a title. Scatter plot of price versus age will be my title for this graph. Scatter plot graph, that is. Yes. Now I will run it. This is the graph that I have obtained over here, scatter plot graph of price versus age. This is my title over here. This is the price range and this is the age. So this is how we completed the first question successfully. These are the steps of how I have loaded the CS file, how I have mentioned the size, how I have dropped the nan values, and how I have obtained the scatter plot graph by assigning the price versus age. Coming to my next question, what are the key requirements for becoming a data analyst? Now, to become a data analyst, we okay, first let us see why we need to become a data analyst. What is the role of a data analyst? A data analyst is a person who gathers information and who consolidates all of it into a certain form that makes the user that enables the user to go and access the information in a convenient manner. So he is the one who collects the information, who organizes the information, and who interprets the information in such a way that it becomes easier for the user to understand the data in a simplified manner. So a research in 2021 shows that 70% of US executives say that they will prefer job candidates who have data analytics skills or data science skills. Now, why is it important? Because as we go on digitizing our physical world more, the more will we need to collect data and consolidate it so that it can be accessed through the systems. So what are the key skills required to become one data analyst is, first is the structured query language. Now, this is a language which is a common industry standard language used by all industries, and it is often called as the graduated version of Excel sheet. So this language helps in handling data sets that Excel cannot. That is what was to be said when I said that graduated data Excel. Second is Microsoft Excel. Now, R programming and Python are languages. R programming and Python are programming languages which help in handling large data set. But what if we have smaller data sets and we need to analyze it quickly? So for such data sets, we use Microsoft Excel, which helps in quick analytics. Third is critical thinking. Now, to become an analyst, you must think like one. So a data analyst's main job is to uncover and synthesize information, uncover and synthesize connections that are sometimes very vague or ambiguous. So in such cases, it becomes very important to think critically as to what data is to be stored and what data should be given in what form. Fourth is R or Python statistical programming. This means that anything that Excel cannot perform, or no, sorry, anything that Excel can perform, R programming in Python can do much better, and it can do 10 times faster than that of Excel. Moreover, R programming and Python are open source and free programming languages, and big data sets and advanced analysis can be done by using R programming and Python statistical programming language. Data visualization. Analysts must use attractive, high quality charts and graphs so that the attention of the audience is captured. We want to present the data in a simplified manner so that it does not become overwhelming for the user to grasp that information. Presentation skills. Presentation skills are common to every industry. This one skill, no matter what, is very important. That is very important to have, because once you are good at presenting your idea, it is easier to reach the audience, and the receptiveness of the audience is determined by your presentation skills. The last but a very important skill is machine learning. Now, data analysts, although they do not use complete machine learning, they do not work with machine learning, but the key concepts, tools, and the key concepts and tools of machine learning are very important to get ahead in this field. So, as we all know, learning is a journey, and we are at its very beginning. So, every skill that is there should be acquired, because nothing ever goes waste. Coming to my third part of the presentation, my third question is to import and export data from Python and analyzing the data for different basic operations. For that, again, I will need to go to my Google Colabs. Let me open a new notebook. Okay. As usual, first we have to upload the file. With the same file, I'll be performing the third question as well. First, we import the Python libraries. Import numpy as np. Import pandas as pd. Import matplotlib as this. Now, I want to make the code cell to read my data file. So first, my syntax to read the data file will be pd.read brackets pd.read csv underscore csv. Here I will need to copy the path and paste it right here. This is my path, and now the compiler knows from where it has to read the respective data file. I will need to run it first. Now the compiler has read it. Now, just so that I can display the data, I'm going to print data frame. So the data from the Excel sheet has been converted into a data frame over here. My next step would be to calculate which are the null point values in this particular data frame. And this respective syntax is as follows. This is the syntax I will use to check which are the null points in this particular data frame. So these are my categories for which the values I have are 0. My next step will be to get the size of this particular data frame. It is 1436, 10. That means it is again in the form of matrix, 1436 being the number of rows, 10 being the number of columns. What exactly we are doing here is we are analyzing the data for different basic operations. The process right now is to analyze the data for different operations. Next, I want to know the data types of the categories inside my Excel sheet. This is this particular, this is the syntax which I'm going to use for this. Okay. Sorry for that mistake. Okay. Now over here, except for fuel type, every other category is of integer data type. Fuel type being the object data. My next code cell will be to print the top 5 rows of this particular data frame. This is the syntax. This function returns the first n rows for the object based on the position. These are my first 5 rows, which I have printed over here by giving this syntax. Now, the next operation is to convert this data to an array. And that I will be doing by giving this syntax. So to NumPy, it converts the data frame to NumPy array. Here, I have array of my data in the form of data. Now I have everything I need, and now I want to see the description of my data frame of my data in the Excel sheet. By giving this syntax, I can obtain the descriptive status of my Excel sheet. This gives me the mean, mode, and median of my entire data in the Excel sheet. Next operation I want to analyze is to sort the given data into ascending manner. We can convert it as ascending or descending order. Here I am using ascending order. Axis has generally 2 values, 0 and 1. Here I am using 1. And I want to use ascending order. Okay. Let's see what we get. Right. So with respect to age, my entire data has been given in the ascending order. It has been displayed. It has been organized in ascending order. This is what we did for analyzing. We imported the data first, and then we analyzed the data for different basic operations. Now our next step is to export the data. Our next step is to export the data. For that, I first need to find what my working directory is. And for that, I will be using the following syntax. get working directory. os.get cwd is to get the working directory. My working directory presently is over here in the files, and this get working directory should point, after running, should point to my files. Okay, there is a syntax error. I forgot to add the brackets. Now it will give me the file. Okay. So content over here is this. This is my content right here, and that is my working directory. Now I will add one more content code cell, and I want to export this data that I have got over here in the compiler to a new Excel sheet in my working directory. So I will add df dot to CSV, that is to, I'm going to export this to, with the title name new Toyota. Let's say it is new Toyota dot CSV. Here I will, yeah, the inverted commas are closed, and index to be mentioned as false. Now let's see if the code has been exported. I have run the code and it should come over here. Yeah. So that is my code which has been exported. If I open this Excel sheet, I will get my entire code of data frame exported over there. So this is the way I have imported and exported and analyzed the different basic operations. Here I have mentioned the steps. Sorry for the typo. Here I have mentioned the steps. Steps for importing and exporting is over here. Imported the libraries, read the respective data. I got the working directory and I exported the entire data to the new Excel sheet. Now for analyzing data, I studied the shape of the data frame, which gave us the matrix, gave us the data in the matrix form 1436, 10. Then we studied the data types of the data used. Then we took the top 5 rows of the data. We converted the entire data into the array when we used NumPy. After that, we used describing the data, description of the data we used. So the entire data, the entire information of the data we got from this syntax. And null points also we used in the code. Those are the values of which categories are 0. And in the end, we sorted the entire data into ascending form. Now, my fourth topic, which I have chosen, was to export the exporting data analytics. What is exporting data analytics? It is basically exploratory data analytics. The definition, let's go with the definition first. It is to understand the data sets by summarizing their main characteristics by often plotting them visually. So what it means over here is that we have a given amount of data and we want to explore all the characteristics of the data, and we want to assign it, we want to display it in different types, like assigning it in the form of graphs, assigning it as plots. That is the way we are going to display the data analytics that we have explored. Now, the factors of the data frame that we consider while exploring are shape, description of the shape of the data, which we took as matrix form, the description of the data that we found over here, so this is where we described the entire data. Then we found the data types. Where did it go? Yeah. So this is where we found the different data types of the given data. And in general forms of explorating, we use uh, some places where we drop there are many duplicates in the data as well. So that is where we can use Python and R programming to use to drop the duplicates and then to get the original values later on by counting the actual values. That is how we drop and get the original data. And after getting the original data, we can generally plot them in the form of histogram or scatter plot or box plot. So that was my presentation. I hope you all understood what I wanted to convey. The references that I have used in this case are these. I have attached it over here. This is my exam seat number. Thank you very much.